Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's head-to-head comparison, let's take a look at the 2026 Nissan Frontier Pro 4X and the 2025 Toyota Tacoma TRD Offroad. I borrowed both of these from Flow Nissan and Flow Toyota of Statesville, so take a look at their websites down in the description, along with the full detailed reviews that we've made on both of these trucks. So let's start off with their MSRPs. The Tacoma here with the TRD Offroad package starts just over $43,000 versus closer to $41,000 for this Pro 4X. Now in today's review, these are both very similarly priced, right around $46,000. The Tacoma here features the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder turbo. It's paired to the 8-speed automatic. It pumps out 278 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. For the Frontier, this is powered by a 3.8 liter naturally aspirated V6 paired to a 9-speed automatic, and it pumps out 310 horsepower, 281 pound-feet of torque. It's worth noting that the Tacoma also has a hybrid option if you would like even more power. Now, both of these trucks are primarily rear-wheel drive. However, they do have the 4-wheel drive system. You'll expect curb weights to be right around 4,700 pounds for the Nissan, closer to 4,200 pounds for the Tacoma. And then as far as fuel economy goes, you're looking at 20 miles per gallon in the city and 24 out on the highway for the Tacoma, and then 18 and 22 for the Frontier. So very similar in those aspects. Now, as we work our way to the exterior styling, you'll notice, of course, there's going to be a lot of differences. Up front for the Tacoma, this specific model does have a sensor for distance pacing. There's also fog lights down below, a large grille there, and then some of the lights are LED. There's also a trim accent just underneath that, and then there's a skid plate underneath. And then on the Nissan here, you'll notice for the Pro 4X, this is the top trim level. It gets a forward-facing camera. All of the orange accents are a part of that Pro package. This has a sensor in the lower section. You'll notice visible tow hooks. There's some on the Tacoma, they're just hidden in that lower section there. This does get a much beefier skid plate, being the Pro 4X, of course. It also has fog lights down below, LEDs for the lighting, and then you'll notice the bumper does have a little bit different of a design to give it more of a high clearance appearance. Now, you can go with higher trim levels for the Tacoma. You can get the TRD Pro, but that is going to cost a lot more, of course, than the Nissan. And then you'll notice there's some really nice bulges that come down the hood just to give them a great look. Now, both of these models have plastic for the fender flares. You'll notice there is a cutout in the Tacoma ones there, and then each have a really nice set of wheels with the all-terrain tires. Now for the Tacoma, this model here just has the body colored mirror caps. There's no camera or turn signal. You'll notice there is a camera for the Nissan. Now there are some add-ons like the side steps, which of course you don't have to get. The Pro 4X does not have any on this particular model. So if you want rock sliders or steps, that is going to be optional, just like you can see on the Tacoma. Now with the Pro 4X, this only comes with the short bed. The TRD Offroad here, this model does have the long bed. However, you can get the off-road with the short bed as well. And then in back, you'll notice Tacoma in the lower section of that tailgate. This can tow right around 6,400 pounds. There's the side exit exhaust there. And then as we work our way to the bed, there's the soft opening tailgate there. No spray and bed liner, which you can actually get as an option. And then you'll notice the tie downs along with the dome lights there. That way you can secure in a lot of items. Now, as we work our way to the Nissan, you'll notice Frontier stamped in the lower section. There's also Pro 4X. This can tow right around the same weight too, which is nice to see. And then you'll notice the exhaust is a little bit more hidden. You would see that on the Trail Hunter or the Pro. You'll have a different exhaust, of course, for that high clearance. But as we work our way to the interior, this model does have the spray and bed liner. You'll notice the channels too. There's also an auxiliary, and then some lights and areas to tie down some items. Now, as we work our way to the back seats, you'll notice there's plastic door handles for the Tacoma. Pretty simple interior. You get some storage down below. You have the speaker system, a trim accent there, and then a grab handle and the release handle above that. Now this model also has the cloth interior, and if you go with this base engine, so not the hybrid model, you get storage underneath the seats. So it goes all the way from door to door. For this smaller truck, it's nice to have that. You also get a grab handle up top, and with the front seat set at my height, which is 5'10", I have a little bit of space. It's crammed, as you would expect for a mid-sized truck. You have cup holders, an auxiliary down below there, and then at my height, I have maybe 2 inches or so of headroom. Now these seats are pretty upright, but they're comfortable. I've owned a 3rd gen and a 4th gen Tacoma, and it's what you would expect for a mid-size, to be honest. Now this model has a solid rear glass there, so there's no window or anything. but it's a nice place to be. Now, as we work our way to this Nissan, this is body colored door handles. And then for the interior, you'll notice more of the orange stitching. You get a little bit different design for storage, grab handle, release handle too. And then this model has a really nice design of cloth seats with more of the orange stitching. Now, this also has storage under the seat. So you have separated bins. So there's one for those two on that side. No grab handles in the back. And then at my height, you do get a little bit more space. Now this seat might be slightly off, but it's roughly the same. Now you don't have any cup holder storage in the middle, but you do have auxiliaries. And that is because your cup holders are in the armrest here, so you can fold that down. This also has a manual sliding rear glass, and then I have a little bit less headroom, to be honest, maybe an inch, inch and a half instead of closer to 2. And they sit upright just like in the Tacoma. So it's going to be a very similar setup, maybe slightly better legroom than the Tacoma. Now, since we have the full reviews, I'll go through all the tech features up front fairly quickly, where we just have automatic front windows, lock and unlock your mirror controls, and then you get power seats for the Pro 4X. And so as we hop in now, we have the start button located on the lower right there. And then for the steering wheel, you'll see on this left side, there's voice commands along with volume and tuning. And then on the right side, there's distance pacing and all of your cruise control settings. Now for the gauge cluster, tax on the left, miles per hour on the right side, and then you can use that arrow on the left side of the steering wheel to further get into this information here. So you have some off-roading info, you have a lot of gauges, and just daily driving information that you can toggle through, along with some of the driving features and then some other vitals that you can get into and change all of this as needed. So quite a lot front and center. Now on this left side, there's a tow mode. There's also a dimmer switch. There's the safety tech you can turn on and off, along with the power outlet in the bed. There's a cargo light, locking rear differential, and traction control. You get a little bit of storage up top, and then with this massive infotainment system, you have some info in the lower section that you can get into, and it's pretty easy to use. So you can go through all this, get back to your menu, you have different settings that you can get into, and then you can toggle between these 3 screens here and customize it as needed. Now underneath that, there's more physical buttons for your menu. You have volume and tuning, some of the camera adjustments, so you can pull that up and view your 360 camera, which is nice to see with a few different angles. Underneath that, there's all the climates. You have fan speed, temperature, where you'd like the air to go. There's your 4-wheel drive selector. This also has an auto start stop, so you can use that control. There's also an auxiliary. You get heated seats, heated steering wheel, parking sensors to turn on and off, as well as some auxiliaries and storage down below. Now there's also 2 cup holders, and then if I put this into reverse, you have the camera system as I just showed. You can put it into drive and then push on camera, and you can pull up the forward-facing angle as well. So really nice to see both of those views. Now you can also shift using the shifter here, and then behind that you'll notice some off-road modes. So there's on-road, then you have rock, mud, and sand, along with a downhill assist. So you can activate that over on that left side as needed. Now there's also wireless charging behind that. You have storage in the armrest, a locking glove box, and then up top you just have the rear view mirror. There's also a sunglass holder and then dome lights too. And then here's a look at visibility, where it's going to be nearly identical to the Tacoma simply because the glass is pretty much right here. There's really no pillars in the back to obstruct your view. As we work our way to the Tacoma now, you'll notice there's a dual setup for your storage. So you have some in the middle of the door there, all of your window controls, side mirror adjustments, and then this model has manually adjusting seats. So you have lumbar support, and then you have your recline incline and the slider to move it forwards and backwards. Now as we start this up, the steering wheel is going to be fairly similar with the controls as far as volume, voice commands, and then you have your cruise, distance pacing, and all of that. Now for this digital gauge cluster, it's all digital versus having some of the analog gauges that you saw on the Nissan. Now with this, however, you have 3 different settings where you can go through and customize all of this information. So you can pull it up in the center, you can go on the right side, and then also go on the left side as well. So not as configurable, but it's nice that you can pull up this information and have those shortcuts. So just depending on what you like to see, towing, daily driving, you can pull that up front and center. Now on this left side, you can actually adjust the pitch of the headlights, which is really neat. You have a dimmer switch, automatic high beams, traction control, then the cargo light in the bed there. And then you don't have any storage up top, and this model has the smaller screen. So you can go through this. It's pretty much going to be better to pair your phone to this, but you can at least go through some of this information here, and you have various settings that you can monitor and adjust as needed. So simple and straightforward. Now you have vents underneath that. This has a single zone, so you have fan speed on one side and then temperature where you'd like the air to go, defrosters. You also have a lot of storage and auxiliaries located down below. Now, this does not have the forward-facing camera, but you do have the rear-facing angle where you can pull up a few different views along with the guidelines there. And you can also shift using the shifter too. Now, this has the e-brake auto hold feature, which is nice. Four-wheel drive selectors behind that. And then with this being the TRD Offroad, you have tow and haul, and then you have multi-terrain select and crawl control. So you can use those for off-roading. And then you have 3 different on-roading settings that you can get into as needed. So it's really nice to see that tech along with the locking rear diff. You get cup holders, a little bit of storage behind that, a locking glove box that's a little bit bigger than the Nissan, and you even get storage up top, which is nice. Now, same thing, just your basic rear view mirror, and then you get a sunglass holder and dome lights. And then, like I said, visibility is going to be about the same just because those pillars are located right there. So with the exteriors and interiors wrapped up for both of these mid-size trucks, let's get them out on the road and see how they drive. So we'll start off behind the wheel for the Nissan Frontier. And the first test that I want to talk about is the turning radius between both of these vehicles. So from that side of the road to this side of the road, we can see this tree right here, and we have a good distance away where we can easily make a 3-point turn. Now, also with that testing, I want to talk about how heavy the steering is in the Frontier. I own a Tacoma myself, but we've been able to drive the Frontiers quite a lot. We've had them for a week at a time to really test them out. There's no pro or con here that I really want to mention between the two, but this does offer heavier steering. That's something a lot of people like, but it will reduce the turning radius slightly, as you will see once we get behind the wheel of the Tacoma. But now that we are out on the road, this is a really nice truck. For the price, this is the top trim level that you get, the Pro 4X. There's not too many options or ways that you can configure this vehicle. So if you are looking for a little bit more of a simple vehicle, we still have plenty of tech features to go through. We have the naturally aspirated engine. This is a great option to go with. I will say the ground clearance isn't quite as high as it should be. I feel like the Pro 4X here should offer a lift kit. With the Tacoma, if you go with the TRD Pro, it does come with a 1-inch lift and a little bit larger of a tire to give you more of those off-roading capabilities. This would be a little bit more capable if it had a lift, maybe a little bit larger of a tire, but it's still going to be something that you can take off-road and have some fun. So it's a great vehicle to drive nonetheless, super comfortable, and just something that you can use as a mid-size truck. Being a mid-size truck owner myself, there's quite a lot that you can do with these vehicles, and this is something, again, that'll make for a great daily driver. Visibility out the front is really good. We have thin pillars here so you can easily see on both sides, and with the power seat, we do have a height adjustment. So if you are taller than me at 5'10", currently I have maybe 2.5 or 3 inches of headroom. It's going to be very spacious to drive. I know that's what a lot of taller people have gone towards the Nissan just because of the headroom that it provides. And then as we do another 3-point turn here, it's a wide turning circle. So if you're in some tighter spots a lot, I mean, you can definitely feel, it's still maneuverable, but you can definitely feel the weight of that steering. So let's jump into the Tacoma now and see the differences. And behind the wheel now for the Tacoma, we are going to do the same test here where the steering is much lighter. However, the turning circle looks to be about the same. We're roughly the same distance from that tree there, but you can turn this much easier with one hand. So it's a lot looser of a feel, and it just depends on the feedback that you are looking from your vehicle. But now that we are behind the wheel for the Tacoma, you have a lot more ways that you can spec the Tacoma over the Nissan. So you can get the larger 14-inch screen, you can get the Syntex leather seats, you have a lot more auxiliary switches and things that you can go with, and then of course the hybrid, the JBL audio too, which this truck does not have. So it really just depends on your budget, of course, what you're looking to get. The Nissan maxes out right about $45,000. The TRD Pro is going to be in the $60,000 range. So that is significantly more. And so if you're not looking to spend quite that much, you do have other options that you can go with. I personally bought a TRD Offroad. I went with the iForce Max, pretty much fully loaded with a premium package as well. And that truck was in the mid to low $50,000 range. Now, I didn't do any acceleration tests in the Nissan, but these are going to be fairly similar. We do have the turbo engine, which a lot of people aren't a fan of course. Personally, I use my hybrid to tow 6,000 pounds. I think it's a great option, much better than the naturally aspirated engine in my 2017 Tacoma, which had the V6. Not to say it's a bad engine, it's going to be something that you can rack up the miles on, but 4-cylinder turbo here is just as performance oriented. You have some good MPG, and so that's a big difference between both of these, is you don't have that NA engine for the Tacoma anymore. So that is a big factor in your decision as well, but this is going to ride very great for a daily driver. You get a little bit more visibility around this pillar since the mirror pokes out slightly. And with this turning radius here, it's about the same. It might be slightly better in the Nissan, to be honest, but I like the steering feel of the Tacoma more. It's just easier in my opinion. So back from our test drive now, it's worth noting I forgot that this has the long bed. So we do have a longer wheelbase, which would mean that the turning radius is going to be a little bit larger than the Frontier. Now, if the Tacoma had the short bed, they're honestly going to be fairly similar. You just have the difference in the steering feel. So comment down below, which midsize truck would you rather go with? We have the top trim level for the Nissan, and we have almost the top trim level for the Tacoma. You have the TRD Offroad with the premium package above this, and then you have the Trailhunter TRD Pro as well. So it really just depends on your budget and if you want that NA engine or you want the turbo engine. I have 1,500 miles on my 25 Tacoma currently, no issues. It's been a great truck so far, so follow along if you want to see the reliability and how this 4-cylinder works in a mid-size truck. So would you rather go Nissan or Tacoma? You already know my answer. Let me know your thoughts and why. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I'll see you all in the next video.